What's good? If y'all see the title of this, my goodness, my Lord. I'm doing this video for a reason, because I was working today listening to BGS, Kendra, and Black Woman's Perspective, which is I want to say Sister George and Concrete Rose. And I was listening to some of their podcasts during the week, and part of the SYSBM situation that went on. And I'm listening to the women that were, the women that were on, that were saying things that I guess the guys were trying to break down or gut into. And I'm listening to the women, and I'm thinking to myself, are y'all, these narratives, have you committed to dysfunction? And when I say narrative, what I mean by that is there's our history as Black men and Black women in America, as far as our relationships and the narratives that were there. Hey, Scoopy. What's up, Mr. Ivmore? Great February. What's poppin'? And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay. What's up, Third Ward? What I was thinking about was, and I can't believe this, that, I forgot, I think Angerman was talking to a woman about this. And she says, he said, were the majority of Black men abusive back in the day? And she's like, no. So, and she agreed that the majority of the Black men in the past weren't abusive men. But because of the abusive men, quote unquote, the abusive men in the Black society back in the past, this is the reason why women are so anti-man and anti-marriage. Aubrey, what's going on? George, what's good? So for me, I'm like, okay. So basically, the most dysfunctional of us, minority set the tone. And I was thinking about BGS talking about the Moynihan report, how, our culture is working inverse to what's going on. So my thing about it was, okay, so what are we doing? And when I realized that, to a degree, what's going on is, the women, these types of women, they're not committed to the men, but they're committed to dysfunction. Harambe, what's going on? Thanks, fam. Happy New Year to you too, Rob. And the reason I'm saying that is because let's back this up a little bit. What are the women? When we talk about I'm talking in general. This whole video, this whole podcast is in general. So nobody, no. Nobody says oh because you want to hear somebody say oh. Anyway, Rob, what's happening? Who are you attracted to? In general, the sisters are attracted to the men who will be at the same time deemed the most dysfunctional, maybe abusive, quote unquote, oppressive. So the very qualities that these women are attracted to are the very qualities that they're saying why they don't want to be with men, because the men were abusive. You want a guy who want all the smoke. Well, if that's sexy to you, what happens when he want all the smoke with you too? You want the most intimidating looking guy, because you're going to feel protected. So you feel protected by the most intimidating looking guy. But the irony about this protection is the guy you're attracted to, you say one thing about. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, they do surround themselves with people who have similar traits and qualities, but here's the thing. I'm saying that people are committed, so these ladies might be committed to dysfunction. A certain segment are committed to dysfunction, whether they know it or not. And because they're attracted to dysfunctional guys. So much so that if you're not dysfunctional, it's a turnoff. He boring. I need excitement. The boring and exciting thing, he's not, how can I say, he's exciting because he's not, the excitement has nothing to do with good qualities like funny, entertaining to a degree. It kind of is in that dark category of I want some excitement, but I want some dark excitement, And then what the people and what ladies consider boring is just like, let me get this right, functional, just functional. Like a guy that just is living a normal life is boring. You don't want to have a normal life. And that's the thing. That's why I say, are you committed to dysfunction? Because a normal life is boring. You want an abnormal life? An abnormal life is entertaining. But the problem with this abnormal life is you complain about all of the negative things that go with this abnormal life. That doesn't make sense to me. But this is what you're attracted to. You're attracted to this dark life. He got to have a certain kind of, he got to have a certain kind of style of swag. He got to be hood, street, whatever. And here's the thing about it. This is why I'm asking the question, but I'm putting it solo. You tricked all your Christmas money on back. You're terrible, man. You got to save some of your money, man, for New Year's Eve alcohol. You can't trick it all, man. Becky don't love you without them drinks now. You know that. And I hope the Saints play the Vikings again. Revenge. Anyway, but the thing about that is the scenario about this is different, because if you're attracted to dysfunction or you committed to it, you can't complain about looking for function. You can't complain and say, I want this and I want that. I just want to have this, that, and the third. Because when functionality comes into your life, you don't want it. You don't want it. A guy has tattoos. That's exciting. Okay. A guy is reckless in his judgment making. That's exciting. Oh, yeah. See, I ain't know that, Harambe. Oh, Solo, it's going to be some trash talking going on this Sunday, player. Now I'm going to get a root canal on the second, so I'm going to whisper my trash talk. But the reason I'm getting into this is because one of the sisters was talking about this need. Black women need to be with men. Like to a degree, a man's man. Where the real men at? And what we're defining it, what women are defining as real men are basically people who are either criminals or reckless, or criminals or rogue. So when you define what you're attracted to as a real man as somebody who's either criminal minded or rogue, that ain't a real man. We're gonna do that 50 thing again, Solo. I'm saying? I want my money back. But that's the problem. Criminals and rogue guys are attractive. But we're living in this society where what kind of life does a criminal or a rogue person live? Not normally a good one. So you're committed to this dysfunction of that. And then I got to go back to this narrative. The guys back in the day, they were abusing the women. But if the woman says the majority of the women weren't abused, and it's, the minority always ruins it. Okay, the minority always ruins it. And George Macon always ruined it. What's up, George? When I was hearing the sister talk about it, she was like, the majority of men back in the day weren't abusing women. So the issue I'm having with this is when I think about black men compared to other groups of men, those men are openly way they're abusive. If black women say we're abusive, these other groups of men are definitely abusive. So black men are abusive. Are white men more abusive than black men? Probably. You could say yeah. Are Hispanic men more abusive than black men? You could say yeah. Are Asian men? See, that's the thing. Asian men, you got to count Indians and stuff like that. So their culture, they'll be looked at as more abusive. But as far as like China, Asia, not China, Asia, but China, Japan, Korea, they're not seen as abusive. But sisters don't look at them like men, you know. And are Middle Eastern men more abusive than black men? You would say yes. So the thing about it is, when we go down this path, it's like, okay, you're saying black men are abusive, but at the same time, you're also saying you respect these other men who are more abusive than black men. You know, so it's a twisted situation. And I'm gonna talk about a bunch of different things. I'm kind of like all over the place. I'm just talking right now. You know, what's up, T Ray? What's up, Richard? Classy young man, Trina. That's part of the issue. You know, the nice guy, bad boy thing that I see what you wrote up there, Rael. You know, it's really a bad look, because when you're attracted to the bad boy, quote unquote, but you want the nice guy to settle down with the nice guy. We understand about settling down with the nice guy. That's what men do. You know, when it's time to settle down, he wants to settle down with a nice woman. But the thing about it is, you got to get that stench of all those shenanigans off you. So I don't think the sisters want to get that stench off of them. And while I'm talking about the narrative also plays into, you know, we will respect these black men if they had economic power and status in America. Well, here's the problem with that. We're not the only racial group in America. And all the, you know, let's take white people out of it. Asians, Hispanics, Arabs, and us, and Native Americans, guess what? We all own very little in this country, collectively put together. So individually, we own less. So when they say all these other groups have this, that, and the third, no, because it's like 92% of the wealth, America's wealth, is in the white community. Amon, what's up? You know, here you go, George. You have to change. Like, it is comically short-sighted, Aubrey. Like, so when all these other groups don't own much of America either, they find a way to get along with each other. They realize we can get along with each other, right? And the sisters are not, the sisters who make these arguments don't even take that into consideration. When they say, you know, we have $13 trillion spending power. When it comes to spending power, out of groups that are non-white, Hispanics maybe just passed us? Maybe. But our spending power is up with everybody else, just by number alone. And then it's like, okay, do you realize? And they said, well, the men aren't building any business. But why I say committed to dysfunction, because the other groups are actually more family oriented. So they put the money in the community. In our community, a lot of the money is actually falling out and through the hands of the women, whether directly or indirectly. So, and then think about the guys who are successful or who are business minded or entrepreneurs or making money. What do the women want those guys to do? Do they want them to grow their business and grow their income? No, they want them to spend that money on them. They don't want that money to actually build something or more businesses or take care of the family. They want to be spent on them. They want to be wine and dine for life. 87%. Okay, 80% is on money, but that's just money. I'm talking. I get what you're saying, Devin. But what about land? Because we got the land is like 90 something, and businesses is like 90 something. So that's the thing. Like, it's a bad look when we taking these. Sometimes when I listen to the ladies talk and I'm listening to what they're saying, they're talking, but I don't know they're thinking I don't know if they're thinking these things through. Okay, hold on, Aubrey. Okay, but how many mega prominent black businesses do we have as a result of that spending power? You think we prop up a legion of black corporations that benefit us, but we don't. And that's what I'm talking about. To a degree, when it comes to black businesses, we don't support black businesses. And it's funny because it's the information age. The only black business we normally support, with no problem, is musicians and I would say Jordan. Other than that, we don't. But the thing about food, no, I don't think we support black businesses when it comes to food. I think we do that sporadically. I don't think that's a normal thing. Like, we buy music and entertainment. That's what I'm talking about, entertainment. Like, we buy music on a regular basis. And a lot of people buy sneakers and shoes and a lot of times Jordans on a regular basis. And I take that back. And we're starting to support black alcohol. Because Ciroc, Douce, I think what? Come on, Ace of Spades and was Branson. We supporting them alcohol brands, but not necessarily anything else. Music doesn't matter if the music. See, here's the thing. The music and the entertainment is a very interesting thing because you're seeing more and more artists own their masters. You don't have to own a record label. All you have to do is own your material. And a lot of times the artists wind up selling their music, not necessarily the label owns it. Like, a lot of times, artists start out on the bottom and they start making a little bit of money. They have the option to buy that stuff. And the ones that do wind up selling it. You got to remember, James Brown sold his stuff back. You get what I'm saying? You know what? Alcohol is not under food. but that's not necessarily the artist that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the consumer. Richard, we need import-export business. We're the only group in America that can't, okay, what we're importing and export the most is music, but that's the other thing, even part of this narrative about being attached to dysfunction or committed to dysfunction. We can't export much. All these other groups have a home country. We don't. We got to start living in reality. Like, we don't have a home country. That's the problem. Like, Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans can import and export coffee or bananas because in their home country they have Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans here to receive it, to create their market. Africans can import things from Africa to here. Chinese people can import things from China, Asian just in general. European can import and export because they stole everything here, but they import and export back to their homeland. We don't have necessarily a homeland because we're a hodgepodge people. We don't know our homeland, so we don't have a land. That's the issue. And even in this country, in this country, the farmers who create things, the country gets in the way of that. So we gotta take this from what's up, Jameson? I'm sorry. That's part of our we got to go places and be entrepreneurs and create, and we got to get their stuff to import and export. We don't necessarily have our own to import and export, but that's part of the scenario where I don't necessarily, I got to think about this dysfunction, because even when you say that, we kept talking about the women being attracted to drug dealers. That's the closest import export we got, really, outside of music. And that didn't work out too well. You know what I'm saying? But nobody cared about the business aspect of building a business outside of that. They just cared about the money. So if we made money from it, cool. What are we doing with the money? Not much. I'll take that back. What was done with the money? Not much. And the reason I'm thinking about this and talking about this is when I was hearing sisters talk, it just didn't make sense to me. And one of the reasons I say, is she committed to dysfunction, is because every time a point was brought up, what's going on, Art? Every time a point was brought up, when people's like, why are you blaming the women? Well, I hate to break the news to you. Women deserve blame too. Women have earned their blame. Nobody's just giving it to them just because they've earned it. But the problem with that is, when I think about the dysfunctional part, when these women, when the men bring up arguments about the women's dysfunction, they switch it and say, well, what about the men? Or they'll say, well, if the men would have fight more. And here's the issue, the crux of this issue right here. What's up, Keyshawn? I'm sorry, I didn't even see the thing there. What's the problem with that? When women keep saying the men need to fight more, whether you know it or not, the way you're going about it, you're proving that you need to be, or you're asking to be, abused and oppressed, because you want the men to fight with you about you being a bad mother. You want the men to fight with you about using the laws to benefit yourself and tear down the family. You want the men to fight with you about just having a regular household that you can get along in. You want the men to fight with you about money. You want the men to fight with you about quote unquote freedom. Everything's got to be a fight. But you're saying the men are abusive, but you don't want to be with the men because they're abusive. But the men are not saying they got to fight with you about everything. The women are keep saying what the men need to fight with them about. And I got to take that to even when the women are dating women. It's a lot of fighting going on, and that's part of the problem. Is it makes the ladies look like you're committed to dysfunction, because anything that's supposed to be normal and functional, you don't want no parts of it. You don't want no parts of marriage and family because you don't want to be a wife. So the rest of the world, marriage and family is a normal thing, but y'all don't want it. Okay, so who's dysfunctional, the men or the women? That would be the women, because you don't want to be married. You don't want to be a wife. You get what I'm saying? That's dysfunctional. When we bring religion into it, and 1 minute, the Bible says this and you're a Christian, and the next minute, the God you serve is the one that you're going to follow in your mind, the one that you created in your mind. The God you serve, let everything slide because he know your heart. I mean, that's ridiculous. But that's committed to dysfunction, because even your love of God is not going to change the dysfunctional ways, because you don't feel like, nobody can tell you nothing. Okay, cool. Who's doing that? That's a problem. So is it go be happy with women who want? Dang, yeah, well, there you go. But all this fighting becomes a problem, because I don't even know if the women even know why they're fighting. or why they want to fight. What's up, David? What's going on, Kendra? You know, I was thinking about something you on one of your panels too. So this is what this is about. It's like, are the women committed to dysfunction? Like, because anything that's functional, you don't want to be married. Even if you have kids, you don't want to you want to have a father-son or father-daughter relationship. You don't want to help you get in the way of that. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying women, but what's up, Careless? When women get in the way of that, you can't get in the way of a father being a father to his son or daughter and then turn around and say, but the father wasn't in the home. But at the same time, you want the father to fight with you all the time. So you want the father to be in the home with you, fighting with you all the time, and then go around and also say, well, if you should have one of these situations where you shouldn't be together if we're in the same household and it's dysfunctional, because a man, you could be in the house, but you cannot really be a father, or it could be just a bad of an environment if he's in the house. Well, you're the only one fighting. I'm not hearing men keep talking about fighting women about stuff. Thanks, G-Star. Like, I'm not hearing men say, you know what, I'm gonna get with these women and I'm gonna act a fool and they're gonna have to fight with me to get it right. I don't hear men saying stuff like that. What up, Edward? I don't hear men saying stuff like that. I don't hear men say, I want to be a father, and that way, I'm the father and the mother, and this woman's gonna have to go through me to be with these kids. There you go. And if she wants to be with you, she's gonna have to fight with me. It don't make sense. Yeah, I know they don't know what they want, Kendra. This is why I'm saying to a degree that, what's going on, fam? Yoko, oh, what's happening? This is why I'm saying is because the same women who are saying the men are abusive and oppressive, they want the men to fight with them so much. It's like, oh, you want these guys to beat you into shape. You want these guys to oppress you into working with them. So you don't want an abusive man, but you want to put these men in a position where the only way they're gonna actually get the community together is to beat your ass and make you, actually take care, be cooperative in the community. That don't make sense. Like you committed to dysfunction, and I didn't even bring up, the aesthetic part, because a lot of women are committed to dysfunction just in their presentation. I hate to break the news to y'all. Y'all don't need all of this weave. Y'all don't need all of these eyelashes. Y'all don't need all of this makeup. If violence is their love language, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, like it sounds like that's the problem, though. When I think of some of our sisters who talk about this stuff, this is what gets me. She's attracted to the type of man that'll beat her ass. She's not submitting to the type of guy that won't beat her ass. But she'll submit to a white guy because he'll beat her ass. Really. So he has the money, he has the history of beating me and raping me, but guess what? I'll submit to that. Same thing with Hispanic men. Same thing even with Asian and Arab men. But at the same token, you submit to them, but you won't get in a relationship with them because they're going to beat your ass. And you know this. So you won't, these other groups of men don't want you because you committed to dysfunction. It makes sense a little. It's kind of like how certain black women like ghetto gang and they want to be dominated. Being dominated and getting your ass kicked is two different things. You continue to give it up after she said, oh, snap. Oh, you want to fight. That fight stuff. And I don't even like that. Like, and I've talked to and dated many women who wanted to fight and argue. And I had this conversation a few times with women, like if I really hauled off and punched you, what would you really do? What do you think? You actually think you'll win? You actually think this is like, and I see this time and time again, these women want to fight until they get a fight. And it doesn't make sense. Why you want to argue? Why you want to fight? Why you want to put your hands on people? And if somebody hits you back, you're going to cry. So what exactly are you fighting for? Just like I hate to, and I'm gonna use this as an example. And this is a female thing in general. When they talk about a woman who's abused, they have to figure out ways for her to leave. She's always there. She, the fear, if I leave, I don't know what he gonna do. I don't know. He could just do anything. Cause if I leave, he gonna kill us all. So let me get this right. If you would, the stereotype, if you were the guy that abuses you, it takes you months to plan how to leave him. But if you were the guy that don't abuse you, you could just leave him. You could just leave him just like that. I ain't got to take this. I'm gone. Oh, so if that dude started whipping your ass, then I ain't got to take this. Pop, 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 pop. It's going to take me 3 months to figure out how I'm going to leave this house because, oh my God, he's so abusive. I don't know what to do. I don't know. It don't make sense. And I was in one of those households where they fighting, If you want to leave, leave. People act like when people don't go to, a lot of people got left when somebody went to work or somebody went to, I'm going to go see my family for the holidays and never came back, but you could have just got up and left. Stop acting like if I leave, he going to kill me. If you stay, he going to kill you. So exactly what are you doing? If you're talking about abusive men, this is the problem. It's so much so a problem that I don't get it. I do get it, but I'm saying it doesn't make sense to say I want these men to stand up and be men, because you don't want these men to stand up and be men, because the men you're attracted to are really bucks. You want the bucks to stand up and be men after you fuck them, but you got with them to fuck them. You didn't get with him because of his character. You didn't get with him because of his work ethic. You got with him because he aroused you. This is what you like. Erica, I love you, Erica. Keep doing what you're doing, Erica. Jesus Christ, a salute to you. I was listening to some ladies on a panel talk about the narrative of the male female dynamic, and it seemed like to me that they just committed to dysfunction. The very type of men that they say that their mothers and grandmothers told them was existing is the very type of men that they're attracted to today. They used to beat the women and not let them do nothing, and this is why we wouldn't be free. And then who you dating? Oh, I'm dating MC Slapper Bitch. He's so sexy. I'm like, okay. Because even the idea of a simp is a guy who's actually not gonna abuse you per se. He's not gonna abuse you. He's just gonna be there to take care of you and do what you want. Just spend money on you. He's too damn nice. Too damn nice to the point it's stupid. That's the dude you running from. Because he a simp. He's soft. But the dude you running to is the dude that say, come here, bitch. Look, bitch, sit down, bitch. Fuck you, bitch. Get over in the car, bitch. Like, oh, he's so strong. He's strong. This so sexy. He grabbed me by the back of my bundle ponytail and said, sit your ass down. And I was like, oh, girl. And then, but a lot of times even, and I got to be honest, a lot of times those guys aren't necessarily abusive either. That's not, the case a lot of times. Like, even the street dudes aren't necessarily abusive as far as putting their hands on folks, but they're more prone to it. That's the group that's more prone to it. But the other thing is they don't have to put their hands on you because they're putting you in crazy conditions. They're putting you in situations that are always stressful. And here's the hustle. And I'm saying some of this stuff so I could just put this out here to a degree while I'm listening to Whip Appeal. That is hilarious. This is why, see, a lot of you ladies are getting hustled because some guys are smoother than others. Some of these folks so use dysfunction if you're nice and kind, they don't know what to do. Yeah. His wife was born, he had too many crazy exes. And that's so stupid, but that's true. It's so stupid. I'm about to get to that. I'm about to get to that, Kendra. I'm about to get to that. See, what a lot of you ladies are missing is y'all don't think men know you. And the vast majority of the ladies who came up in with a bad ideology, which a lot of ladies did, y'all don't get something. These guys are not. These guys are just smooth enough to suck you into drama. See, a lot of these guys know if you like drama, so I'm gonna woo you into a situation, and I'm gonna be a woman in this situation. I'm gonna cause so much chaos that you're so attracted going in and out with the chaos that you're gonna be here. You're gonna be wasting your time here. See, if I'm playing games with you, you're not gonna walk away and leave because you like the drama. You're gonna get on the phone and talk to your girlfriends and talk to your friends and blah blah blah. And instead of leave, y'all gonna talk through a way to get back at him. Now you're wasting more time. You know. Yeah, he got a girl, he got another girl, side chick, main chick, whatever one you feel like. Now you're in a competition with the other girl. You know, he's exciting. I get that. Oh man, for the chicken sandwich fun. Thank you, fam. You know, most because they're more exciting or better in bed. But see, that's the thing. See, this idea about these guys being better in bed, that's not true. See, here's the thing. And I'm gonna get vulgar for a minute, right? You choose to be a bad boy at a certain age. Okay, at a certain age, you make the choice to be a bad boy, right? But here's the problem. Y'all act like because somebody chose to be a bad boy, all of a sudden that made them a porn star. I got in 7 fights. I smoke a little weed. And because of that, my dick grew 7 extra inches. And now my stroke is just phenomenal. Like, no. A lot of the time, you know, what's going on is these guys are getting these women off of all this struggle fantasy. The ladies say they don't like struggle love, but the type of relationships they love are struggle relationships. They're struggle relationships. You know, he got potential. See, common sense will tell you this. If somebody's going down the wrong path in life, they're not using their potential to be a better person. But you're saying, if I come along, I'm gonna make this guy right. For the Juice Man vegan sandwich. Hey, soul food vegan though. I ain't gonna front. They got the nice cauliflower steaks. Well, thank you, Erica. You know, Sister Georgia, you part of. I was listening to y'all and some of these conversations, and this is why I'm bringing this up too, because I was listening to what everybody was talking about. This is an issue because a lot of times, a lot of ladies don't want to say this, but guys understand. What the men are looking at it like is this: the functional men or the productive men are looking at Black women like, okay, you don't want a functional, productive life. You want a dysfunctional, unproductive life. It's more exciting. But it wears on you. See, a lot of the girls I know who dated quote unquote bad boys or been in bad relationships, that took a lot out of them. You know, that's what, when we say it took years off, it ain't just the sex. You don't look as, the stress wears your ass out. The stress wears you out. And we can see it. You get tired. And then people say, because of the stress, I gain weight. You like the stress, though. What we're dealing with is men who saying, I'm trying to make my life less stressful, and women saying, I'm attracted to stress. And then when stress kick your ass, then you want a functional man. That don't make no sense. Because when I say is she committed to dysfunction, because a lot of these women are looking for men to be their piece after they're dealing with quote unquote dysfunctional men, and they got all the peace sucked out of them. But that's a road you went down on your own. You know, they will settle when they hit 40. No, they won't settle. They won't settle. Because the thing about it is, if you out here in the world, you see, I will say this, I see a lot of older Black women trying to work out and eat healthier to look younger or just more fit, because they're not trying to settle. What they're trying to do is they're in competition for mandingos. You know, unfortunately, a lot of the ladies who are looking for a man, they're looking for a man to do something for them. They're not looking to do something for a man. And this is the other part about being committed to dysfunction, because if you want to be with somebody, it's dysfunctional to say, I want to be with, like, as a man, if I say I want to be with a woman, but I don't want to do nothing a man is supposed to do for a woman, that's dysfunctional as hell. I'm committed to the dysfunction, not her. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of what men are saying is, these women say, I want to be with a man, but I don't want to do nothing as a woman that I'm supposed to do for a man, even if I supposedly care about this guy. So, you know, it's messed up. And T-Ray, that's the thing. When he said we need to get our lives together before trying to get in a relationship, that's the thing. People aren't like, some of these ladies aren't trying to get their life together because the way it seems like they're approaching it is, no matter how good or bad their life is, they're automatically better than the Black men in their life. And that's not true. You know, that's the thing. You know, I've met a lot of women who, you know, who was that movie, that Barbershop, the last Barbershop, the one with Nicki Minaj, when she said her butt was like American Express. Companionship marriages happen. Exactly, Erica. You know, this is why, for me, this is why it's dysfunctional, because when I hear a lot of people say, we want to build together, I'm looking at people like, by your age, you aren't in the age of building. You're either not in the age of building, or you're not in the shape for your age to start building. So you really don't want to build anything. You are looking for an escape plan. You're looking at cash out and under the guise I'm trying to build. Because a lot of times we're talking about blended families. And unfortunately, nobody is trying to build blended families. I'm just being honest from what I see and what I've seen. Yeah, 50s is exactly. It's the age of results. We gonna build. What we gonna build? Well, my arthritis, I can't lift because of my arthritis. I got tendonitis, and you know, I had 7 knee surgeries and a bad elbow, but we gonna build. Real? Oh, as Ace Ventura would say, oh, really? You know, that's a problem. And even a financial sense is committed to dysfunction, because, you know, Erica, I'm still listening to y'all, and I'm figuring out my little niche right now, because I got plans and I've been doing stuff for years, but I'm trying to find something else to do too, just to add to the portfolio. What's up, legend? And I'm realizing a lot of times when it comes to the finances in our community, what's going on is we're committed to the dysfunction of, I want to spend all of your shit. That's dysfunctional. I want to meet somebody that I could take all of their stuff for me. You know, if I want this person to have this much money so I can spend that money on me, I deserve it. That is dysfunctional as hell. You know, and the reason why I say it's committed to dysfunction, is she committed to dysfunction, is because what a lot of, I ain't gonna say a lot, but what a sector of men are hearing is this: I wanted to do what I wanted to do at a certain age for a certain period of time. Now that it didn't work out well for me, because I been with all of these bad people and made all of these bad choices. Now I've earned your stuff. I earned the benefit of all the good decisions that you've made because I suffered. Oh, I know it's a lot of opportunities out here. Oh, yeah, I know. Like, that's the fun part about being in the city. It keeps growing, and I'm not even talking about just I know you're in the real estate. I didn't even talk about real estate. I got to get back on this trading game. I went slipping on that. But the other thing, and I'm sorry. Hold up, we need to stop sponsoring these childish. It's not sponsoring. It's not. We're not sponsoring anybody, because when you sponsor somebody, they appreciate it. It's for their benefit and they appreciate being sponsored. We're not sponsoring nobody. People are just feeling like they're entitled to somebody else's life. We need to start saving. Unfortunately, that's the thing. It's kind of like when I've met people who are millionaires who came into a lot of money. And the thing about it is, a lot of times those type of people had no plan. And what I mean by that is they grew up like, I want to be rich, I want to be rich, I want to be rich. And why do I want to be rich? Because I want to buy a Rolex, I want to buy a yacht, I want to buy some Arabian horses, I want to have 3 Lamborghinis, I want to have a mansion with 54 bedrooms, and I want to have silk drawers every day. So they don't know the cost of none of that stuff. So they just go out and do it and do it and do it and do it and do it. And then they don't have no more money. And it's like, oh, what I've seen is when the first checks start rolling in, it's like, this is gonna last forever. This money gonna keep coming in forever. And this is the problem. It's this overconfidence that there's always gonna be somebody there. And this part of our dysfunction is that when we think about each other in the Black community, I would say that, some of the sisters don't want to admit this, but they always believe that there's going to be a man there to save the day. So guess what? I'm going to keep acting a fool because there's always going to be a man to come in and say, it's always be a man there who going to commit to me, going to wife me up. I got options. And here's the problem about that dysfunction. What's up, Eric? When that is when that is in the conversation, that you can always have a man to quote unquote be there, or a man that's sent for you. Guess what? What's up, Edward? Then that means you do have options that are quote unquote productive, that are progressive, that are actually moving forward. You do have men who actually want to marry you or start a family with you or build with you. It's just that's not who you want right now at the moment. But because you like the dysfunction. And if you committed to the dysfunction, okay, no problem. It's no problem. You committed to it. I get you. But here's a problem. If you committed to it, then how can I say this? You do realize the men don't have to be committed to dysfunction. And, this is part of the problem with, I hear girls and hot girls, some at 40. What's up, Dizzy? Oh, what's happening, Lon? This is a problem. If you think, okay, somebody's always going to show up, it doesn't go well for the arguments, because we went from women who saying they were taught to not trust in men because their mothers and grandmothers were abused, so they say. But part of the problem is if you start looking into these families and start asking these women, okay, how many of your mothers and your grandmothers and your great grandmothers were abused in your family? It ain't gonna be, the number ain't gonna be big, you know. Golden Girls is cold. The number ain't gonna be big, you know. When you look at your grandma, your mom, your aunts, you know, their cousins. If it's 20 women, at the most, I would say 4 of them may have got abused. At the most. I'm talking about I'm talking about in relationships, beating and rape and shit like that in relationships. Now, what happened in a family, that's one thing, you know. But outside the family, they're not. I don't hear these stories about, you know, I diagnosed this. Wow. I haven't heard all these stories about, you know, did mom get beat by dad? Did grandma get beat by granddad? I wasn't hearing a lot of that coming up. Actually, I was hearing the reverse. You know, grandma was abused and mom was molested. You know, that's interesting. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I can say that because I grew up in a house where my you would say my mother got abused because my mother and my father was going at it. You know, got shot and went back. Our family said, "Don't act." Wow. Yeah, and I get that. I definitely get that because that's part of the issue. And I was talking about that earlier, Erica, where when it comes to the abusive guys, it's just hard to leave them. It's the ones that's not abusive that are just, you know, easy to leave. I ain't even gonna get on that part, Edward. But that's part of the issue. Like, man, but wait, let me back up. When you say back in the day the women were abused, and then you fast forward to now, and because you're saying you don't depend on a man, forget, you know, you don't need these men. They're not on your level to a degree or whatever. And at the same time, you're in the back of your mind, like, if all else fails, I can always get me a man. That doesn't go together. That's dysfunctional. Because if you believe the women in the past couldn't depend on these guys and they were abusive, and they taught you to not depend on these guys because they're no good, but then at the same time as an adult, you're saying, oh, but if it all goes wrong, I can pick me one of these good fellas right here. Then somebody's lying about something. You know, that's just a problem. Because what you're saying is there's actually an abundance of good men, so much so that, you know, you can wait until you 20, 30, 40, 50 to pick one. That's what the guys are not like, are you serious right now? You know, and we don't want to address, so what are you committed to? Like, what are you really committed to? Are you committed to the family or the community? No. What is you're committed to? Empowerment. Well, here's a problem with empowerment. What is the Black female plan to do? What are you planning to do with your empowerment? Because when we see the Black women who are quote unquote empowered, they're not doing positive things with it. They're doing negative things. And when I was listening to one of the sisters say she would rather, you know, keep it going the way it's going right now, even though it's not working, than to go back to how it once was when it was working, under the auspices that the guys were abusive back then, when the majority of the guys weren't. So it's like, okay, so you want to be empowered to be dysfunctional. And I thought about this in a scientific way where they were talking about creating artificial wombs. I'm pretty much guessing that the scientists who started to create artificial wombs are all men. I would assume it's all men. I hate to say that, but I would say it's all men. Or if it ain't, it's 95% men. And they're not Black men, which says, you know, this is a problem that men of other groups feel so strongly about that they like, look, I don't need to make a baby with you, because all men have been dealing with the family court dysfunction. You know, I was gonna spend a week posting Facebook posts of men marrying babies' moms, white, black. Whoo, they are good guys, just like they're good women out there. You know, that's the thing. Like, I think even with me talking about this, that's the issue where we want to act like the good people, we're not attracted to the good people, and we're trying to act like if good people are unattractive, and that's utterly false. Because on the flip side, if you're a bad boy, you can be ugly and sloppy, but because you're a bad boy, you sexy. If you're a good guy, you could be the picture of all these things, and tall, dark, and handsome, but you're a good guy, so you're unattractive. That's stupid. It goes the same way with the women. You know, she thick, she fine, blah blah blah. She attractive, but she a bad woman. But this girl right here, she could be fine, but she's so nice. She's just so homely that's unattractive. That's bullshit. When was the black community working? We were poor, less educated, and had more health. It had worse health outcomes in the past than we do now. Been here 400 years and been fucked up since. Well, we've been poor. That's definitely true. But Ms. J, you act like we weren't less educated. I hate to break the news to you, because last time I checked, black people who are quote unquote less educated invented more shit than the black people who are educated. Just saying. The black people who are less educated found some way to actually be innovative and create things to this day that society uses. What is in the last 30, 40 years, our innovation is really small compared to what we was doing when we were less educated. And part of those health outcomes was from that less educated generation who created things. We're the most educated generation that ain't doing shit. That's what I'm talking about with dysfunction. Let's look at the facts. Dysfunction. The vast majority of black folks haven't created a damn thing. Let's be real. Ms. J, you stupid. You stupid. If you're educated, you would know that's dumb. A vast majority of these industries in America, like, are you serious right now? You know what? Since you're a woman, let me do this. What's up, Isha? Let me do this since you're a woman, right? Because I know, a black woman invented LASIK surgery. That was in the last like 40 years, right? I know since you're a black woman, you remember that part, right? What about the black woman who did the home security system? Do you remember her? Because I'm gonna just give you the industries that black women actually invented things in, right? Because you educated. I know, Ms. J, because you're a contrarian. And I appreciate you coming here, because you're part of what I'm talking about. You like the dysfunction. Because you don't even know your history. But if you look at something very small like potato chips, a black man invented potato chips. Do you know how many industries that came out of it? The vast majority of black people haven't invented stuff in the last 40 years. The educated years is what I'm talking about. That's very interesting. You get more educated and less innovative? That's interesting. That means you're not really educated. That's the thing. How can you be more educated and less innovative? Doesn't make sense. That's dysfunctional. I went to school and I got a degree. Now I don't know. Now I can't do shit. That's crazy. What's up, Chaos? That's the thing. That's why we were telling people to get involved in STEM. We're years later at that because the Black community really used to really be in STEM. Really be in STEM. That's what stopped. Us leaving STEM caused all of these problems. Because all the inventions that I'm talking about really came out of STEM. STEM and agriculture. You know? But this is the dysfunction I'm talking about. You know, first time live been, hey, well, I'm glad you're here, Lester. I'm glad you're here. You know, this is the dysfunction. And sometimes we got to take into consideration that what winds up happening is if you committed to dysfunction, a good life is going to always be bullshit. You remember how I remember when being kids, if you talk proper, you talking white. No, you just talking proper. And I remember the same way that when I hear people with their work voice and their home voice, like I hear some people who are the most, like I hate to say this, I know a lot of sisters who are militant and mean, not necessarily militant, well, militant. They're militant and they're aggressive as hell with you. And until the phone rang, she'd be, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. I'm a grown ass woman. I'm strong as the one. And the phone rang. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, this is her. Yes, I was just looking to do that. Yes, I was. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then she'd hang up the phone. And another thing. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's part of the issue. That's dysfunctional as hell. You know, but we don't, and part of the issue is, well, you don't have a business like white people. Let me get this right. You notice when Black men have businesses, the same type of dysfunction occurs when they have a business, when you're working for them. And I'm gonna say something, and I didn't realize I'm going on this long. A lot of this dysfunction with our ladies comes from actually television and movies, and narratives that aren't true. Like Color Purple wasn't true. You get what I'm saying? And the people of that time said it wasn't true. That woman's daughter said it was some bullshit. And I started thinking about, you know, the dealings of business and in relation to wanting to not respect Black men. And I started thinking about the old movies because women say they weren't protected. After slavery, even in Jim Crow, from slavery to Jim Crow, Black women were tied to Black men in a sense for protection. A lot of times Black women weren't really abused or raped by white men during quote unquote Jim Crow because they had to go into Black neighborhoods. You get what I'm saying? They had to go into Black neighborhoods. So when they have movie depictions of Black women with white men after slavery, Jim Crow era, they're having sex with those guys willingly, or either they've ran to those guys to see if something bad was going to happen, and something bad happened, and then they got mad at the men, but the men tried to stop them. You get what I'm saying? So this is part of, like, even in movie depiction of Black women when they didn't have after slavery, they kept putting themselves in danger. Like, that's not just a Black woman thing, that's a female thing, where even when we put in movie depictions, women have to interject themselves into danger. And it's like, that don't make sense. You know, if you interject yourself into danger, then of course you're not going to be protected, because guess what? You know, you wanted that smoke. You can't cry when you get it. You know, that's the part of the problem. If you committed to dysfunction so much that you're running into it. You're running into a firefight unnecessarily and telling the men they need to fight you to stop you, to protect you. Men don't do that with other men. If a guy said, look, man, I'm going into this shootout, and he said, look, man, we're not going. And he says, and he fights the group of guys there, I'm going to go. Y'all ain't going to stop me. They're going to let him go. And then when he gets shot, I'm like, okay. He gonna turn around, y'all need to protect me, man. Why ain't y'all fight me and stop me and beat me up and tie me down and hold me so I didn't go out into a shootout? I knew, well, you knew it was gonna be a shootout. You knew it was gonna be bullets. You knew people was gonna get killed. You knew people was gonna get shot. I mean, damn, like, what else we need to do? We gotta fight you? No, thank you. You know, what's up in some cases with sisters with a high school diploma or associate's degree know how to please a man. Some sisters with multiple degrees saying she don't. Well, I could say, okay, colleges have a lot of feminist rhetoric, and colleges have this tendency, and it's part of the dysfunction too. When men go to college, it's not part of the culture that they might wind up sleeping with men to experiment their sexuality. When women go to college, it's pretty much baked in the cake that she might wind up sleeping with other women to explore her sexuality. And at the same time, these women don't like men, which brings me to this point. And I'm glad you said something like that anyways, is because a lot of our women's rhetoric as far as dysfunctional comes from either non-black women or white men. And a lot of it has either racist overtones and undertones or lesbian, like feminist overtones and undertones. So the same way, you know, white men will make racist talking points and the sisters will latch on to them. She's with the black man, listening to the white man, but at the same time saying the white man did all of this stuff. But because he's talking to you, now all of a sudden you believe him and you would rather be with him, for the people that do the swirling thing. But the women who are with the women are telling you hate the men, and you're listening to the women, but at the same time, the women want to sleep with you and you're exploring your sexuality. So guess what? Flora, you tripping this. But, you know, what's up, Tony? You know, no, I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. Started with black men and got abused. White men got used. Arabs too controlling. I hope women who have a medical condition will be protected, but it's untrue. Hard lessons. Yeah, I mean, started with black men and got abused. White men got used. Arabs are too controlling. I hope a woman who has a medical condition would be more. Oh man, that's cold. I had to read that twice. Truck Turner was popping. But when you deal with the ladies, it's the same thing. You know, the ladies will say, you know, Afrotech was throwing. Wow. They was. Smart black folks thriving and enjoying life. And you know what? That's the thing about it, Erica. I don't think that a lot of us as a people have a messiah complex. I think us as black people, we have a messiah complex to the point that we're willing to fuck up because we know there's a black messiah in our immediate circle. We know there's a guy or girl who actually has it together in our circle. So I can fuck up my life, but I can always go with such and such house. I can always go hang around such and such. You know, I can always fall back on such and such. You know, and it's at that, and we're at that point where people are like, you're addicted to fucking up. And what I'm seeing is the community people saying like, look, I'm not helping you fuck. I'm not going to be there for you because you're a fuck up no more. You're on your own. And I'm seeing people lose it. Like they really losing it. Like, how dare you not be there for me after I fuck up my life? You're supposed to be there for me. You that's your job to be there for me. I'm going to go smoke some crack and fuck up my life, but I'm going to come back and you going to have a plate for me. You going to have a seat for me at the table. You know, me and my other friends that's fucking up, we having fun. We know you working hard. That's what you working hard for us. So we can have something left over. It's like, y'all ridiculous? Wow. And Afrotech was throwing jobs out of the window. God, dog. And I noticed that, in general, well, when I see what people waste time and money on, it makes no sense. I know a woman got divorced, lost 70 pounds, and then got with a woman. Folks are confused out here. Yeah. And the sad part about it is, I know women like that. I know women like that. And I'll address the first part. You get divorced, and then you lose weight. So you knew it was a problem when you was married. But then when you get divorced, now it's time to lose weight. Then you get with a woman. Here's the problem with women getting with women. They always cheating with men. And I've ran into that. This is why I'm like, this is why I'm saying it's a lot of dysfunction, because a lot of the women I know who with women, either they cheating with men, or they trying to meet men that they could fuck with a dildo. That's ridiculous. Wait, we were at a party and a dude was like, come through and I'll put your name on applications. I was like, what? People was turning that down? Shit. Whatever. I don't know what. Yeah, Erica, people stupid. Because the vast majority of Americans are making six figures. The vast majority of America don't even have assets in a 5-figure range. I hate to say that, but I don't get it. I really don't get it. And nobody's going to be there. Nobody's going to be there to pick these pieces up for these people. Nobody. This is why I'm saying, this is why I'm asking the question, is she committed to dysfunction? Because, if you start something, if you do something bad, you're not going to get something positive from it. And I think about this as far as even with the parenting of kids, the way we're parenting kids is dysfunctional. And we're fighting to stay dysfunctional. And men are fighting with women basically to not be a dysfunctional parent at this particular point. 10,000 people drop into your city and you say, I don't know about it. I mean, what you got to lose? Like, what do you have to lose? This broad just killed herself and her wife because she was talking to her children's father here in Philly. Yeah, that's stupid. It's stupid. And I have a problem with the dysfunction with that stuff, because a lot of this stuff to make gender fluid, you can't. Okay, first of all, you can't say on one end that men and women are the same, and on the other end say we're trying to be gender fluid, because what you're trying to say is men and women are not the same, and men do certain things and women do certain things. But so which one is it? We already know it's, men and women are different. What's the big deal? But this dysfunctional parenthood, even the way we're creating children. I want to create a child, but I don't want to create a family. And for the mothers out here whose child have their last name, when your child has your last name, and how can I put this, and they don't have a quote unquote legacy, that's on you. That's on you. Because at the end of the day, they got your last name as your responsibility now. And some people, as I get older, I see more and more people trying to create children. The only reason that these kids have their father's last name is for child support reasons. And you'll see it. You'll see it. Exactly. Sorry, when I see a child with their father's last name, yeah, and he's nowhere to be found. It is stupid. I can't disagree with it. I'm not going to disagree with that, because the questions, and unfortunately, I'm gonna say this about the dysfunction. The question is, now you got to start digging into this. Where does the father live at? Where was the kid born, And where does the father live? Now, what? And I was, and if the father's in the same city as a kid and they don't have a relationship with that dude, he ain't shit. He ain't gonna never be shit. And fuck him. Be honest with you. But if the kid was born in a different state or city, city, depending on how big the state is, and the mother's with the kid and they're in a different state, then that's on her. That's on her. Because 9 times out of 10, when they do that, I had to go find a new job somewhere. You had to go to a whole nother state to find a job. You had to go to a city 2, 3, 4 hours away to find a job. When you live in a metropolitan area, because most Black people are living in the metropolitan areas. So a lot of times, I don't believe that. I can't believe that. Kids born in L.A., but your ass is living in Denver to find a job. I'm not trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? You left on purpose. Oh, what's up, Janelle? Maceo? Oh, cool. So this is a problem. Raising kids when the father's in another. It is tough for the kids, but this is part of the dysfunction I'm talking about being committed to, because sometimes they're raising these kids with the dysfunction of they're making enemies that don't exist. That's what I mean by committed to dysfunction with that part. They're making the father a villain when it ain't true. And same thing when I was listening to a couple of days ago, last week, when I saw the Keisha Cole thing. Keisha Cole's like in her 30s now, and she's looking at her mother like, bitch, you always lying about some shit. Like she can't even look at her mother with respect because of all the bullshit her mother did. That was unnecessary. And I know that's an extreme case, but when you hear people talk, men and women in general, and society who came up under single parenting, there was a lot of lies that were told. What's up, Mauricia? There was a lot of lies that were told. And this is what I mean by committed to dysfunction, even with that part, because, I remember in college, a lot of kids found out they were lied to. And then they started tripping. A lot of kids find out when they're teenagers that they're being lied to. And this is where part of the rebelliousness, it ain't just because of teenagers, it's because of finding out you've been lied to and played. And then when kids become adults, it's another thing. They become parents, it's a whole nother thing. And this is why I'm saying the dysfunction is I need to be empowered to do what? I'm not seeing a lot of these women do anything positive with quote unquote female empowerment. It's not helping their kids. It's not helping actually their lives as far as the productivity and progressiveness of their lives. And it's definitely not helping them with their family. It's not helping them with nothing. So it's like, okay, you're empowering yourself to do what? Like, I don't get it. And there's nothing wrong with empowering yourself, but if you're empowering yourself to sabotage yourself, that's crazy. I got the power to fuck my life up. It's like when I talk to my son, I want to make my own mistakes. Okay, so who gonna clean up these mistakes? I want to be, and I remember being a kid. When I was a kid, I didn't believe in that either. Like, let me go and fuck up because I just wanted to have the power to fuck up. That don't make sense. So you wanted the power to make bad decisions, and then when you did, you don't want to live with them. You got to live with the bad decisions you make. Nobody can come along and fix your bad decisions because your mindset never changed. People could fix the mess you made with your life, but if your mindset never changed, you're going to go right back to it. And this is the dysfunction that I mean. Like, people are committed to dysfunction because they keep doing the same shit over and over and over again. Like when the chicks talk about the hot girl summer, that ain't no different than what Nicki Minaj was on hot girl summer and lesbian summer and bisexual summer 5-10 years ago. Guess what? Prior to that, Lil Kim and them, hot girl summer. You know what I'm saying? Prior to that, 2 live crew dancers, hot girl, Freaknik, hot girl. This hot girl summer shit been going on for 30 years. And and when I look at it, it's nothing but complaints. Nothing but complaints. And a complaint, why these men need to do this, these men can't do nothing. I'm sorry. And as a man, I can tell you, a man is not going to force you to do anything, because if he has to force you to do it, you're taking time and energy away from him. Especially if he's not going to force you to do something right. Men don't even operate like that with men. Like, dog, I'm not finna fight you to do something productive and right with your life. If you don't want to do this shit, I'm gonna move on. That's what's gonna happen. If I'm going in a positive direction and you going in a negative direction, I'm not finna drag your ass into a positive direction, because why am I wasting energy fighting you? I can use that energy to build a more positive life. And to be perfectly honest, what I think is, to a degree, people are afraid. People are afraid to live a good life. I'm thinking about that, and Erica, you got me thinking about that too. Like, people are very afraid to live a good life. Like, I can actually live a better life than I thought if I try something different, if I do something new, if I take a different chance, a different risk, if I learn something new. People don't want to do that. And it's not like you're comfortable you're comfortable in your process because it's successful. It's one of those things where, you're comfortable and struggle so much, you're scared of anything positive. And I think about this to a degree because I've met plenty of women who weren't ready for something real. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it's like, wow. Hot girls going back into the 50s. Wow, Inkwell. Damn, I didn't think about that. Y'all cold-blooded with that. But I mean, guys understand this, man. Guys understand this. If you're gonna lay down with dogs, you're gonna get fleas. You're gonna get dirty if you're playing with pigs. Like, it's not gonna be easy to clean that up. And if you want to live that life, live that life. That ain't no big deal. But when I think about these situations, and I was thinking about the ladies we're talking about, when I think of marriage vows, to have in the whole, for richer or poor, for better or worse, through sickness and health, and death do you part. I think about that in the sense of, now in society, I'm not going to hear a woman say, I do and commit to that with a man. But if it comes to dysfunction, she's committed to dysfunction, for better or worse, for richer or poor, through sickness and in health. It's always some fuckery going on in all of those scenarios. For better or worse is the housewife type of shows and shit like that, right? Showing women in a better position, but they committed to dysfunction. In a worse position, but they committed to dysfunction. For richer or poorer, that's the same thing with social media. Better or worse, more so the depiction of black women in reality TV who are not rich, or in movies who are not rich, rather. The richer or poorer is the reality TV with women who actually have money. Through sickness and health, guess what? It's still fuckery. I take that back. Because that one, no. Because if women wind up having breast cancer or some shit like that, they normally, with that extreme, they live a good life. But I take it back again, because I think of women who had fibroids and hysterectomies and and bad experiences and making themselves sick, went right back to doing the same fuckery they got. I know too many black women who don't drink water. Got to leave the music, movies, church, friends, etc. behind. That's why the Asians are able to fix their culture in 2 generations. They went from ass backwards to... No, I mean, yeah, but okay, but we talking about Asians in a country though. Like first of all, it didn't even take them 2 generations really, because Britain left China 30 years ago. See, people forget about that. Like China was a British colony, almost 30 years ago, a little over 30 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. We talk, and I get what you're saying, Ms. J, but we talk about people in America. You know, we can't fix the generations here because people don't want to fix the generations. The Chinese government made motherfuckers fix the fuckery. When Britain left, the Chinese government got real gangster. They got real gangster. You ain't having this many kids. You ain't doing this shit. You ain't doing that shit. All this bullshit that these white folks had us doing, we ain't doing none of that shit no more. That's what got them out of that shit. You know, I'd rather be a dad than a husband and just leave my assets to all my daughters. I get that. I get that. You know, I get that. And that's sad because a lot of times men don't want to say this. You know, exactly. That's what I was saying. They were all British colonies. You know, 2000. Damn. Okay. You know, that's the thing. When they started, they had to implement a whole new old school culture to get out of the dysfunction, because the culture that was created by Europe fucked them up. You know, and that's partially what's going on in the Middle East and in Africa. You know, that injection of European culture in those societies does not work well. It just don't. They're not prosperous with that ideology, and because we're in America, you know, we're in this thing. You know, same thing in Central and South America. The infusion of American European X culture fucks up their society too. Same thing with Native American culture. You know, that's what I'm saying. See, you know, so it's just a difficult thing. It was in the 40s when China took over by 2000. No, look, okay, Ms. J, I don't know if you know this. I know what you're talking about. You said South Korea. I think the United States is still in South Korea. The thing about the British colonies, when I say 30 years ago, it's like 30 years ago, the military even left. See, you can't say you're not, how can I say this? When you just spoke about South Korea, the U.S. military still has a base there. Not like a consulate, you know what I'm saying, a base. So when you still have a military base on somebody else's land, that's basically you annex them to a degree. So until you leave there, you know, that was the thing. And thank you. Edward put it was 1997 with the Macau thing. And think about it, in Macau, and I don't know if you know this, but Macau has one casino that makes more money than all the Vegas casinos combined. You know, that's like when people take, you know, this interjection of stuff is a problem. Same thing when China is going into Africa. The interjecting of their culture is fucking with Africa. It's just not going to work. You know, when they talk about African leaders being corrupt, they're normally tied to somebody either in Europe or the U.S. And same thing in Australia with the Aborigines. That culture does not work well with them. Same thing when you think about people in Polynesians. This society, it just doesn't work well. But anyway, what I'm saying about this is this addiction to dysfunction. And the reason I'm responding to you, Ms. J, not just because you're a woman in the chat and it's about women to a degree, it's also because a lot of times sisters have these narratives that or history, but they don't have the totality of the narrative or the totality of the history. And just because a black man is saying something, you're not really gonna necessarily listen to it. But if I was white and I said the same shit, you probably listen to me. You know, you probably listen to me because I got friends in the Navy. That's why I know, it was about 30 years ago because they was in like that's when the Navy stopped being in China. But it is what it is. Let me get out of here. It's past my curfew. I thank y'all for rocking with me. I shouldn't be going this damn long. I need to get a life. So I'll catch y'all the next time. Peace.